my last question before we go, thankfully your mom was able to beat cancer and stuff. And for people who've actually dealt with a relative who've had cancer, I had my grandmother pass from like ovarian cancer when I was like 10 years old. So how do you support a person when they're a loved one when they're going through such a struggle? What are some things that you were doing to support your mother even throughout your career? Because this is back when you actually had the marketing agency, right? Like she had it back then, right?
Yeah, my mom was doing chemo every other weekend. It didn't matter where I was in the country. I would stop what I was doing and fly back to sit by her side. And I think in 2 years, I probably only missed maybe 3 or 4 treatments. And many times my friends stepped in.
Now it makes sense why you made sure to fly free.
Right. Well, I fly, I paid for everything else so that way I could fly back free. But I think the biggest thing is, a lot of the people that she was doing treatment with didn't make it. And usually the mind goes before the body. And so I think the biggest thing for someone.
Yeah, I've heard it. They call it chemo brain, right?
Yeah, where the mind checks out and the body checks out. So I think the biggest thing is just being for them there physically and mentally, but then also in the mental capacity, keeping it positive, not letting them, even when you hear bad news, finding a way to make them laugh, a way to make them smile, because again, if that mind goes, the body is quick to follow. And we saw a lot of them that, they just gave up. They gave up mentally before the body gave up physically.
Wow. So. Well, cool, man. Luckily, your nephew won't that loud. A little bit, pops some pans. He must have said he was hungry or something.
I went on mute. He's about to come over here and mess things up, man. But no, I appreciate you for having me, brother. This was fun. Yeah. We went too long,
No, we ain't go too long. It's just right, just right. I got to start packing for my trip to Atlanta. I'm going to Invest Fest or whatever. So I got an audacious goal there. So like, I just trying to find the data around like how long does it take a YouTuber or a podcaster to actually get to 1 million views, right? And I'm like, how many? So then I just made up some numbers. I was like, you know what? I need to do 100 interviews, right? I do 100 interviews. Each interview, I cut it up, or I'm able to get 10 pieces of content, the full interview, and then 10 pieces of it. It gives me 1,000 videos, and I'm like, okay, I should get 1,000 views per clip, right? And then I was like, well, if that's the baseline, well, how about I push for 200 interviews, to make it more guaranteed, and that's like 500 views per video, right? 2,000 times.
Gotta love
500.
Those overachievers, man. But I love it, man. I love it.
So yeah. So I'm like, let me go to Invest Fest and rack up 50 interviews. I got to make sure I make the trip worth it, because I'm like, all right, that comes out to be about $50. How much did I spend on everything, like the ticket and the trip? I guess it'd come out to be about $20 per interview. And I'm like, let me drop the cost of going to the conference. So.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about that. I got some stuff cooking, but yeah, bro. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for coming through to the trap.
Thanks for having me in the chat, man. I appreciate it. I'm proud of you. I support you, and I love you, bro. Keep grinding.
Appreciate it, man. Love you too, man. Love you too. And this definitely won't be the last, man. I definitely want to make sure you're sharing your journey, right? And we're seeing your evolution, right? So I don't know, I might be hitting you up every time you do a new round. I'm like, bro, what you learn?
Like what I learned.
Like, yeah. Like my CEO, we raised 250 million, and I think that brought them to unicorn status. And he was just like, the VC called us, and because I guess at that level, VCs interact with him a lot, but a lot of times they're just BS, and they're not really, they're not really trying to raise. They're just trying to, I don't know, shake trees, I guess you say.
They're trying to scout, they're trying to keep their pipeline going. They're trying to see what you got going on versus portfolio companies. So,
right.
A lot of founders, don't feel bad for but a lot of VCs, they're shaking trees. They're trying to see what you got going, trying to see how it looks for their portfolio companies. Typically, if you're not meeting with a managing director or an LP, then it's probably nothing to get excited about. Usually people under that, the associates and stuff, are really just there to disqualify you and find a reason not to invest. So I learned that the hard way.
Well, thanks for letting me know, because anytime an associate hits me up, I'm like, no.
Yeah, I mean, again,
Partner.
it comes to time. It's nothing wrong with it if it's someone you really a VC that you really want to work with. You
Right,
know,
right.
nothing wrong with taking that, but again, don't get overly
It's all
excited.
about leverage too, though. I think it's
It's all about
leverage
leverage.
too.
Yeah, like you have
Yeah.
to learn how to leverage yourself and how to show that, you know, I have options. You know, you have to figure out a way for yourself to create FOMO, and that's fear of missing out for the VCs for people that don't know. But the better you can create that fear of missing out through press, through product releases, etc., you know, the more likely you are to have the VCs hit you up. And it gets to a point where, like, now we are at a point where managing directors usually hit either myself up, or they'll hit our pre-series A lead up and talk to them about the investment. So that's really what you want, and that is kind of when you're at that point, you're a little bit closer to getting a deal done. I won't say that you're going to get that deal done, but it's a little bit
Right.
closer to getting a deal done.
Right, right. I mean, and people love giving money to people who look like they don't need their money.
Yeah, I mean, the better. I mean, again, you kind of want to fake it till you make it, but don't hurt yourself doing it. But
Right, right.
it's funny. My current lead joked the other day that when they called me originally, I told them that I already had my lead, that I didn't really need their money, but I was going to take their meeting just because they were interesting to me, because they were a network of lenders, and they ended up being the ones that I actually ended up leaving. I won't say leaving. We decided not to take the term sheet from the original lead investor to go with them because they provided greater strategic value. And so, you know, but again, to your point, you know, people want to invest into someone that doesn't need the money. You know, the money is great, but we didn't need the money. At that time,
Right.
I closed the round. You know, I had just raised about $900,000, and so I didn't really need the money. I wasn't even in fundraising mode at the time. But that's when you're most likely to get your big, you know, opportunities, because you don't need the funds, and that makes them want to, especially if you have a lot of momentum. But we did have a lot of momentum as a company, but, you know, we didn't need their funds, so that really helped a lot.
Yeah. Well, cool, man. I'm gonna let you go. It's been real.
Appreciate you, Brody.
We signing out. I want to thank y'all for joining us. And, you know, taking the time out of your day to listen to us talk, you know, trap talks and stuff. So hit that subscribe button. Go follow Home Lending Pal. You trying to buy a home, sign up. You know, if you want to get better educated on building your credit, check them out. Yeah, man, this guy's a star. I'm surprised more people don't know him. But hey, man, thank y'all for joining the trap. I'm over and out.
Thank you, guys.
Oh, you had to throw the piece, huh?
I did. No gang sign.